This video will review the Excel skills you need to complete case number 4. Formulas. Excel is used to a large extent to do calculations, and we do calculations using formulas, and we use cell addresses in our formulas as much as possible. So let me give you some examples of formulas using cell addresses, both relative and absolute. Let's calculate new salaries for all the people on our list based on the fact that the salaries will go up by the assumption value that's entered at the top of the worksheet in cell C4. So every formula begins with an equal sign, and you use cell addresses in your formulas to represent the numbers you will be calculating with. So we'll take the existing salary for ID number 1 in D10, and we're going to make it higher. So we're going to add to the existing salary another 3% of times the existing salary. So that's our formula for new salary. And all those cell addresses are relative, which means when this formula is entered and then copied, the cell addresses in the formula will all change relative to where they are being copied to. So if I do that, you'll see that it's not copying the way I want it to copy. And why not? So let's look at the second formula in row 11. D10 changed to D11, which is what we want. But the C4 changed to C5, one row lower. And that's not what we want. So we have to change that 5 back to 4. However, I do not want to duplicate or edit another 499 formulas. So I will edit my first formula by making the C4 an absolute cell address. Absolute means it will not change when it is copied. Now I only need to enter that dollar symbol in front of the part of the cell that will change. In this case, I'm only copying down into another row, so it's only the row number that's changing, so the dollar sign goes in front of the row number. If you'd like to put one in front of the C as well, it doesn't hurt, it's just simply not necessary. So once C4 becomes an absolute reference, and then I copy the formula down, the formulas will be correct for every person inside of the table. Now the bonus will be based on the new salary, and the bonus will be 10%, so that's an assumption value entered separately at the top of the spreadsheet, and multiply that by the new salary. But again, we have to determine which cell is relative and which is absolute. The cell reference that refers to the assumption value is almost always the one that we should make absolute. So the F4 key is a shortcut to making cell addresses absolute. We don't really need the dollar sign in front of the C, but it won't hurt. And now I can copy that down by double clicking on the fill handle, and it copies down for all 500 people. And now the total salary is simply both those two cells added together, and we do want them to remain to be relative addresses because when they're copied down, we do want the cell addresses to change, be different for each ID. So the concept of worksheet design is that you enter at the top of your spreadsheet, away and above from your table, the assumptions. The assumptions are single numbers. It's a single number that will be used in a formula and that might change in the future. That's a definition of an assumption. A single number that will be used in a formula that might change in the future is entered at the top of your spreadsheet and then properly labeled so that you know what it is, and then you use the cell address of that assumption in all of your formulas. For case number 4, you also have to know how to create an XY scatter chart, which is different from a line chart, primarily because you will be graphing two sets of numbers, a column of number called X and a column of number called Y. And X are the numbers along the bottom of your chart, and Y are the numbers vertically on the side of your chart. So let me show you how to do an XY scatter chart. And we always start with selecting the numbers that will be your X or your horizontal axis along the bottom, and then you hold down the Control key and select a matching set of Y. So both X and Y have to be numbers, cannot be text or dates. Now you can insert from the chart menu a scatter, and we usually do a scatter that is not connected, so it's just the dots, and just simply click on that. So this is an XY scatter chart. You can see that X is along the bottom. So here along the bottom, that will be our CPI, Consumer Price Index, and our Y values are the house prices. So you can see on an XY chart that as the X values go up, in this case you see that the Y values also go up, that they're moving together in the same direction. That completes the review that you need to complete case number 4.